Oh, hey, what's going on? We're out here in the driveway again. Day two. Um, I wonder if you guys actually like these videos a lot, because a lot of those like bigger channels, they have to record months in advance and then get all that shit edited while they're working on cars and doing other shit. Uh, like I just do these, I cut them right on my phone. Like I just hit the pause button and come back 5 seconds later. Like I can't turn the screen off or take a phone call basically. Uh, So, what we're doing here, brakes. The other side I got done last night. It was 25 degrees, okay, and it was like dark, and I had two crappy little lights. So we did that side. That side was actually worse. You can see the rotors over there. I don't know if you can see how thin it is from over here, but the thing's pretty thin. About as thin as this one. Oof. You can just see how thin that actually was if you look at how thick this is. And you'll see the new one in a little bit. They are a little bit more substantial. Pads, both the insides on both sides look like this, except this one actually has some material left. The inner brake pad on that side was completely down to backing plate. We'll see that in a little bit. This is interesting. It's tapered because there's this big old ring of rust that forms around a lot of rotors, and I have a heavier brake pedal or brake foot than a gas for some reason, and I broke that whole layer away, and it tapered the crap out of the brake pad. The brake pad on the other side, this was what, 25%. The other one was at least at 50, but the inner one was gone. This one was what, 25%, and that one still has like a couple stops left on it. So that's not bad. This side was actually wearing in. These are actually the same brake pads I took off in the video 3 years ago, or I put on in the video 3 years ago. Everything was still greased. If you look at my caliper bolts, they still have anti-seize on them. Yeah, I got the slides out. We're going to clean this sucker up in a little bit. I do the caliper slides after I put it back on. Or, well, actually, I'll probably end up taking those out and scooping out the old grease. Some people don't do that. They don't scoop out that old grease, and then your slides could just get gunked up already with old crap with new grease, and then you're going to have a bad time. Alright, and then, we got our Duralast Gold brake pads. Duralast Gold brake pads. The only thing that's cool about that is that they I just wanted basic brakes and pads, but they didn't have my pads at the zone, so they upgraded me for 10% off. He said, I'll give them to you at the same price. No, they weren't. I looked at the receipt. The receipt said 10% off. It was like $1. These brake pads are way more than that. Like, what? They're like almost $30 brake pads. 10% of 30 is not $1.42 or whatever it said on the receipt. Just saying. So the guy kind of swindled me, but that's business. You gotta trick people into making money. I needed to get the fucking brake job done, and I have a heavy foot, so having gold pads and brand new rotors. The rotors aren't golds. Those are just basic bitch Duralast. But this car's mint. If I took you around this car, there's wheel bearings are done all the way around. You can even tell because of the newer studs. New struts all the way around. Decent tires. I know one of these I think it was this one. This control arm had to be replaced. The other side was fine. Just the whole control arm got fiffed once. It literally it was riding on the ground because the tire got fucked up. But everything's fine. It drives straight. I could let go of the wheel. The thing goes straight down the road. So whatever broke was fixed just by replacing the part and putting an alignment on it. So that's nice. The only difference is that we had to get a different wheel because this is the stock wheel. The other side looks like a police car's. spare wheel, basically. So cool. Yeah, I've been talking for like 5 minutes, just putting off a little delay because it's extremely cold. And I'm going to put you guys on pause for a minute. I'm going to do some cleaning. And yeah, we'll come back in a minute. Maybe I'll even show you what I'm talking about with that in a second. All right, we're back here, and I was going to try to show you what I mean is that I like to go through after I take the slides out, and I like to try to scoop up some of the old grease. Now, I use that high temp stuff, so that stuff don't really wear off too much, but you can tell some of the drier, you can tell, look at the fresh stuff that was in the bottom and look at the dry stuff that was at the top of the slide in the little rubber boot there. So you can tell, yeah, so I'm just going through. I hate one-handed camera work. Yeah, going through, flat edge it up against the side, and yeah, look at that. That stuff still looks fresh. I could pack on top of that, actually. But I'm going to give it a couple of scoops in different directions, north, south, east, west, and give it... Yeah, you can see there's some gray coming out of there, so there's some kind of gunk down in there that I would rather get rid of right now instead of having to worry about it later. I can see stuff actually in there. You can't see it, but I can because I have a different perspective. And I keep scooping it into the boot, which is fine. It's completely fine. All that's like dried out in there. I'm surprised. Let's get the other side while we're here. Let's see if I can get a nice fresh scoop. Because you can see there's already some sitting right here. I could just go like this inside the boot. And I want to pull out a nice old globby there. Grody. Ugh. Stick this in there. Yeah, we got nice fresh stuff that came out, but there's a lot of material. And you can tell there's brake dust actually in the slides. That's how bad these things were. Yeah. I didn't get to show you, but inside these wheels on both sides, there's enough glitter in there that you could argue whether a stripper's taint has more or not. But cool. We're about to clean this sucker off. Got our handy dandy yeah, that should do it. Gotta get that grease off the caliper. Duh. Okay, now we have a little bit of a monkey see, monkey don't do. I like to put grease on the back of the pads. Obviously, you want to put some in where the slides go. You dab in there, like I do. I like to overcoat it on the back because this isn't going to be anywhere near the rotor on both sides. So at least you'll have that backing grease right there. So when it slides back and forth, hopefully it sucks more of that in there later. You don't want to do that too much on the pad because you only get like a very tiny gap between the backing plate in the surface because of the material. You can get stuff in there like I did, most likely. I think you can see in there a little bit. I did get some in there, but I didn't want to put too much because I didn't want to push grease into the rotor. And then what I also usually like to do is I usually like to get me some about 2 or 3 times like this and just scoop it in to where the slides go, and then just kind of work it in there. And I'll do that on both of them, and then I'll get the slides in there and I'll start ramrodding them in and out, and then we're almost done. But yeah, I put way too much on this time. It's good to give it a little schmear, but I put way too much on, and then the pads were sticking on the way in because these were a little dry still, even though I just greased them. But a little grease ain't gonna hurt as long as you don't get it on the actual mating surfaces of the rotor and the pads. Alright, so we're gonna button her up. I'll be right back in a second. Well, there you have it. Get that little bit of grease off there. You know, it's important. You know, get the grease off. You know, get the grease off in there. Make sure it's not in there, you know, or it's not supposed to be. You know, just everywhere, whatever. Well, she's together. Here, let's go take a look at that old pad and rotor while I'm not falling over. And we got a minute, 2 minutes. Alright, here's the rotor that we had from the other side. You can seriously see the other rotor was at least smooth on the back. This one was dangerously thin. It still at least had some material on that side. This was the inside pad. Remember, like I said, both inside pads. The other one almost had nothing left. That one had nothing left. But you could see this one still had like 50% of its pad left on the outside. And the other side had like 25%. So at least they wore like they were supposed to, or like they were going to. So anyway, I'm going to button this up. I'm going to button this up and we'll go for a test drive. Alright. It was funny. I had to get the wheel chucks out from underneath, and when I went to go do that, I forgot that I reset the pistons all the way in on the calipers, and I went to go step on the brakes and the car kept rolling backwards until I put the pedal all the way to the floor and put the car in park. Like, it didn't even have enough pressure to make the back ones because all of the pressure was going to the front pistons. Oh, that was scary. But yeah, I'm about to go on my drive. Well, everybody, I did a couple of 50-mile-an-hour dead stops in it, and it seems to be okay. I just popped the hood. Don't worry about that. I'm about to check the brake fluid. It seems like I'm just going to have to go hard on them brakes the rest of the day. It's got ABS, but I'm out of time. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed. I know I did. Like, subscribe, and share, and beware. And, yeah, have a good one.